Fleming, welcoming you to what we hope to be one of the most exciting automobile races of the sports year. The reason we say that is because we have a field today of proven champions. People like Richard Petty, David Pearson, A.J. Foyt, Bobby Allison, Cale Yarborough, Buddy Baker, and, of course, the defending champion of this race, Benny Parsons. We also have some young Chargers out there, Dave Marcus and Darrell Waltrip. And we have one of the most unusual front rows in the history of the 500 here. On the pole, car number 83 is Remo Stott, a former corn farmer from Keokuk, Iowa, a good driver in the USAC stock car circuit. And next to him, car number 81, driven by a rookie, a former truck driver from Davenport, Iowa, Terry Ryan. To explain how they got there and some of the ramifications of this week, let's call in our expert of today, world driving champion, Jackie Stewart.
Well, thank you, Bill. Great to be at Daytona on a beautiful sunny day. I think the story, of course, the front row of the grid, well, it is different because Remo and his partner there in the front row got there because of the disallowed times in qualifying last Sunday. The fastest 3 times were disallowed and put further back in the grid. But the 2 in the front, after all, were still 4th and 5th, which are very creditable times, particularly in the company that you see here. But I have to think, being a race driver and this being the biggest of them all here at Daytona, that people like Richard Petty and David Pearson are going to be awful close when the time comes.
And a bit of a dogleg as they come down the home stretch. Now as the cars go into turn 3, Remo Stott and Terry Ryan. That'll be on the front row. Then Dave Marcus in 71, Waltrip in 88, Buddy Baker in 15, Petty in 43. And then as we come by, we've got Pearson in 21 and Allison in 2. In 14, we've got Cuckoo Marlin, Richard Brooks in 90 next to him. Lenny Pond in 52, Earl Ross in 54, Neil Bonnet in 12, Cale Yarborough in 11, Jimmy Hurtubise in 95, David Hobbs in 73, Steve Gordon in 24, Walt Ballard in 30. And as they come in, the pace car is in. We're going to get a green flag. The green flag is out, and Remo Stott on the pole. The white car really stands on it. Terry Ryan next to him, Dave Marcus in the red car right behind. And next to him is Waltrip. And take a look at Buddy Baker trying to slide down on the inside. That's the white car, currently in 5th place on the inside. But it's Remo Stott still in the lead as they go into turn 2. Next to him is Terry Ryan, the truck driver from Davenport, Iowa. The one thing they really want to do today is to hang on to that lead for that first lap. As they flash down that backstretch, the car's strung out a bit, and it is Remo Stott still trying to hang on the lead, but Buddy Baker had slid in there. Buddy Baker in car number 15. And right behind him is Richard Petty. Then Terry Ryan, then Remo Stott. So it's Buddy Baker who said, I've got a feeling today maybe I can do it. Here he comes. A fellow who has never won the Daytona 500, coming off the best year he's ever had, 1975. As they swing by here at the end of one lap is Buddy Baker, Richard Petty. And I'm checking the course to see if everybody got started. Jackie, I believe all 42 cars are on the course.
Yes, it's a clean start all the way through. And I think immediately you see these 2 superstars coming up there right through the field immediately.
All right, A.J. Foyt started in 31st position today, and there he is right now. He said that he wanted to really go out there and not stay back in the pack. He doesn't like it back there. Next to him, incidentally, in 32nd position, car number 72, Benny Parsons. He started there a year ago and won the race. That's how much A.J. has to go. As you see the front of the pack coming in at the end of 2. It is Baker, followed by Richard Petty and Darrell Waltrip.
Yeah, car smoking there as they were coming round there. In fact, he's going to pull into the pits. There was a car smoking badly, and he's pulled into also.
Okay, that is Neil Bonnet, rookie, car number 12. Neil Bonnet from Hueytown, Alabama, from the hometown of Bobby Allison. Another car coming by, but as we swing down the backstretch, we see that Buddy Baker and Richard Petty are hanging right in there, and there is A.J. Foyt. I'm trying to pick up now is how many positions A.J. may have picked up on the field. Look at him go, though. I'll tell you one thing about A.J. He knows exactly the groove on this track and where he wants to move. At the end of 3 laps, it's Buddy Baker in the lead, Richard Petty, and then Darrell Waltrip, Terry Ryan, and David Pearson. And they're swinging by at better than 180 miles an hour. Back in just a moment. We are on lap number 5. 195 laps to go, and can you believe that A.J. Foyt, who started in 31st position today, has already worked himself up to position number 13 on the race course. And a car smokes as they go into turn 3 over there. An engine is blown in the second group, and as the first group comes into the number 4 turn, They swing by car number 90. That is driven by Richard Brooks. At the end of 5 laps, in the lead right now is David Pearson in car number 21. David Pearson, who has never won the Daytona 500. That is a surprising fact, but neither he nor Bobby Allison nor Buddy Baker has ever won this prestigious race. Although today we have former winners in the field, Richard Petty, Cale Yarborough, A.J. Foyt, and Benny Parsons. Down the backstretch is Buddy Baker, now who has taken the lead over David Pearson, and Darrell Waltrip is still hanging in there third. And now another pass as Pearson, and Waltrip gets a beautiful draft and goes right behind David Pearson, and that means that Baker falls into third place. Richard Petty now fourth as they swing by at the end of 6 laps. Now Waltrip looks like he might try to make that move. That's the green and white car, number 88 on the inside, right alongside David Pearson. Buddy Baker in that draft, in the slipstream, gets the added horsepower of the car ahead of him, and he slides by David Pearson. It may look like David Pearson slowed down a bit there, but when you combine the horsepower of 2 cars, you get nearly 1,100 horsepower swinging through there.
Well, one of the things David Pearson's obviously waiting for, he was coming off of turn 2 right now and going down the back chute. You see Buddy Baker in 15, the white car, getting past Darrell Waltrip in the 88 car. So there he goes through. Buddy Baker, a big man, 6 foot 6 inches high, a big strong man, a Daytonan really, because this is where he's done a lot of his work. He's always local here.
He's a boy out of Charlotte, North Carolina, whose daddy, Buck Baker, was one of the great pioneers of stock car racing in America. All right, at the end of 7 laps, it's Buddy Baker in the lead. And right behind is Darrell Waltrip, car number 88. Tell you one thing about Darrell Waltrip. He won one of the qualifying 125s here. And in that Gatorade Chevy, a lot of people said if you want to pick a long shot for today's race, pick Waltrip. A native-born Kentuckian who now lives in Tennessee. So there goes Waltrip into the lead as he swings by Buddy Baker. We'll be back in just a moment. This guy in this field who looks like he should be a defensive tackle on a football team. Buddy Baker has the lead, and he's followed very closely by Darrell Waltrip, cars number 15 and 88. Buddy Baker started in the number 5 position. There's a bad accident, not a bad one, but a spinning car down this front straightaway, and he is just on the apron. Fortunately, he did not get onto the race course itself. And I'm trying to see the number of the car, Jackie, whether you can see it or not.
Yes, Saltwater. It's Saltwater who spun down there. He came off of the dog leg, and you can see the yellow being thrown there. He did come off of the dog leg right in front of the main grandstands here. Spun right down there. Doesn't look as if he's hit very much indeed, but it is Saltwater.
It is Salt,
the man who had the enormously big accident in Indianapolis a few years ago, recovered from it, but he's sitting stationary at the moment.
Saltwater looked like he was going into a bad spin down this front straightaway. I don't know whether Salt's engine blew or whether somebody's ahead of his blew that threw oil on the track. Let's take a look at it.
And there he goes, spinning all the way through there. You can see the car in front of him smoking on the right-hand side of the picture. Has just gone out. Salt keeping the car out of trouble. Didn't hit any other vehicles. This is important to keep the car low in the speedway. Once you get off the racetrack, never to go back up in front of the other cars, because remember, they're doing 180 miles an hour, and if you're T-boned by one of them, I'm afraid that's one of the few times when you could really have a fatal accident here in this very safe NASCAR circuit. So they're running under the yellow, and Salt Walters is now going back to the pit. Saltwater going back there will obviously have to change his tires because they'll have flat spots in the tires. This means when the car has spun round, he's locked up the wheels, the tires go flat where they've been scrubbing against the road surface, and it means the tire is no longer round. And of course, there's a strong vibration through the steering. The driver can't handle it, and that's what Saltwater is now going back to the pits for.
All right, and everybody else will be coming into the pits now. As they come in, it's Buddy Baker into the pits, Darrell Waltrip into the pits. In fact, everybody, Pearson, all the cars are coming in to have a look at those tires, take on the last 10 laps have been completed by the leader. The flag is still out on the course because of the spin of Saltwater. Fortunately, nobody was hurt in that one. Salt continued on his way, and I thought he did a very nice job of getting it down on the infield. Had that car come back out onto the track with all the traffic behind him, you know what could have happened. But there is the key to it. See that car smoking at the top of your screen? That's the car that blew, and that is the oil on the track. We have always been impressed with many of the safety features that NASCAR employs, the harnesses, the roll bars, the fire extinguishers, and before we got underway today, Jackie had a chance to look at one of these Grand National cars.
I saw one of the most spectacular accidents that I've ever seen in motor racing occur at this track last year in the Permitex 300. Red Farmer barrel rolled his car, how many times I don't know, down the front straightaway. The man escaped almost uninjured. He was at the racetrack the next day. How did that occur? It occurred because, first of all, the car is properly built, and when an accident occurs, NASCAR have now built in so many backup safety facilities that a driver really has a very strong possibility not only to live through an accident, but not be seriously injured. From my point of view, in all of my racing, I've never seen a safer form of motor racing than NASCAR. There are 10 trucks such as this spread around the 2.5 miles of this tri-oval. In each truck there are two men, the driver and the operator. On this truck are the safety equipment. Now, what is this?
Spreader, Jackie.
Now what happens in the case of an accident?
Well, the idea is to get the man out. You use this, slide it in there to spread your metal apart. You might have to free a limb, a leg, caught between the clutch pedal, something like that. So you spread it apart with that.
How does that operate?
Hydraulically with this jack.
Okay, now these are the additional accessories along here for this. Now we've got more basic essentials. We've got great crowbars here. We've even got an axe. In addition to that, you've got a fire extinguisher, a normal handheld fire extinguisher. But to supplement that, we have on the front end of the truck here a 350-pound powder fire extinguisher that is pressure-fed, that'll put a fire out, even a major fire, in a NASCAR vehicle in about 20 seconds. In addition to that, there are, of course, backup people as well. Quite a lot of equipment for emergency that might be needed in a big hurry.
We're standing here at Salt Walter's pit. The crew can't get over the fact that Salt has not come in. His tires are probably flat-spotted. They want to change the four tires. The car seems to be all right. He's restarted and back in line. Two stars, however, have gone out of this competition very early. Cale Yarborough and Dick Brooks, both of whom could have won the race. We'll be standing by when Salt does get in here. Back to you, Bill.
Yeah, okay, Chris, on that Cale Yarborough, car number 11, apparently they put a new engine in that car overnight, so it didn't even get out on the race course. Can you confirm that with us?
They decided to change engine suppliers. They had been using a McLaren engine. They weren't happy with it in the qualifying round, and now they've gone to another maker. And whether there was an engine on Cale's car that sidelined him or not, I do not know. I have not been down there.
Okay, well, the official word was the engine blew, so unfortunately he's out of the race, and we're taking a look at A.J. Foyt, who incidentally had moved his way up to 10th spot after starting in 31st. 14 laps have been completed. We've got a long way to go. Car number 63, Terry Bivens, an unknown, really, from Shawnee Mission, Kansas, has the lead on the race course right now with Jackie Rogers behind him. That is due to the fact that the leaders, Moneymaker, Walters, and so forth, have come in for pit stops. Some of these other drivers choosing not to come in on the race course, but of course, that will automatically catch up with them. On the 16th lap, and incidentally, the average speed for the first 10 laps before the spin-out was 179.283 miles per hour. We had a yellow on the 9th lap between 9 and 10. The green has come out on 16. And just to bring you up to date, Cale Yarborough is out of the race, as is Richard Brooks. Neil Bonnet was out for a long time in the pits, but we still have lots of cars running. And as they come down, it is lap number 16, and in the lead right now. As they flash by, it looks like
Buddy Baker.
It is Buddy, but I'm wondering if the official score will list it in the lead. Buddy Baker, and then Richard Petty right behind him. That's it. Buddy Baker in the lead. That's where he was before. That's where he is right now. Buddy Baker of Charlotte, North Carolina, driving one of those new 76 Fords in this racing that it'll have the aerodynamics. They changed a little bit this year. He didn't think it would be as good on the super speedway as perhaps the short track.
No, they think that the new 76 shape is not as good as what they had before. The Mercury and the Ford, the old ones, were, of course, much sleeker on the back end, and this meant that the wind got over the car a much smoother way, and Buddy's really been worried whether the super speedways are going to treat the 76 Ford properly. But I think he's going to be more happy about the other events later on in the season.
All right, as he comes by, we have 181 laps to go. We'll be returning to the Daytona 500 as the afternoon progresses. But for right now, this is Bill Fleming, along with Jackie Stewart and Chris Economaki, saying so long from the Daytona International Speedway, where Buddy Baker is in the lead at the present time. Ramos starts in second, and Richard Petty third. Good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bill Fleming, along with Jackie Stewart and Chris Economaki, reporting live from the Daytona International Speedway for the Daytona 500. This is the 18th running of this race, and on the course right now, you're seeing Benny Parsons take the lead for the very first time this afternoon. The defending 500 champion has just passed A.J. Foyt for the lead. So Benny Parsons, the ex-taxi driver from Detroit, now living in Ellerby, North Carolina, has taken the lead in that number 72 Chevy, followed by the Gilmore Chevy, number 28, driven by A.J. Foyt. The interesting thing right now as far as strategy, with 141 laps completed and with 59 to go, is that David Pearson in the Wood Brothers Mercury is up a pit stop on the rest of the cars. Now, Cuckoo Marlin, you saw a shot of him. He's officially in third place. But again, we have to emphasize that car number 21 has one less pit stop, perhaps, to make than the others, Jackie Stewart.
This could be enormously important, depending on what happens now with the yellow flags. If there are no yellow flags, this is going to help David Pearson because he's made his pit stop and he's only got one to go. This is going to be a very significant situation for him.
All right, now, a little bit ago, less than 15 minutes ago, we reported to you live here from the Speedway just after an accident happened involving three cars. Johnny Ray's car, Farrell Harris's car, and the pole sitter, Remo Stott. That is what they look like. Stott is on the left, 83. In the middle is Ray, and on the right is Farrell Harris.
Now, the position there is the center car there belonging to John Ray was T-boned, as they call it down here. It was run into by car 82, which, of course, hit him fairly hard right in the driver's seat, more or less. Luckily, he hasn't got serious injuries from what we've been given. There was a report from the hospital, but it's about the only sort of accident you can get down here where a driver can get seriously injured. But there we are. There's car number 72, Benny Parsons, the leader at this time. And remember, he was the leader last year, but A.J. Foyt slowing down. A.J. Foyt's got trouble. He's slowing down on the back straight. A.J. Foyt is a troubled man right now. This is a big disappointment. He's come from the 15th row. What a sad day for him right now, Bill.
A.J. Foyt started slowing down coming out of turn 2. We had the glasses on him, and it looked like it was trouble. There was no smoke from the automobile, but he went down on the inside apron, and currently running in second place, running neck and neck with Benny Parsons until that happened.
You know, it could be that he's got a fuel or gasoline problem here. It may be that AJ's got some trouble with gasoline. It may be that he's run short. We don't know. He may have switched off his engine. Let's wait. He's coming into pit lane right now. He's just coasting in. It doesn't seem that he's got an engine running, but AJ's getting in there. The Gilmer crew waiting for him, obviously anticipating what's going on. He'll be shouting instructions to them right now. They're looking under the hood. They haven't bothered with the gas tank. I'm afraid it could be electrical. He had electrical troubles here earlier on in the 125 qualifier.
Now let's go down to Chris Economaki.
Okay. It's a case of nobody knows what's the matter yet, Bill. The mechanics are looking. AJ has just shut the engine off. This looks like it might be the end of a fantastic day for AJ. They still have... They're putting the hood down, and that means it's all over. Let's see if we
can get a word with him, Chris.
Get a word with him. If,
boy, he just ran a fantastic race.
He's going to be getting out. That was a very fast, fatal diagnosis on the engine. They're pushing the car away. When he gets out, we'll try and get with him. Back to you, Bill.
Okay, well, it's a sad A.J. Foyt and Jim Gilmore, the car owner, and Benny Parsons now. He did not inherit the lead. Let me make a point of that. He took the lead. And then A.J. dropped back, let's say, in a half a lap. But you remember a year ago when it was David Pearson who had the lead, and with 2 laps to go, spun out, and Parsons moved in to take the 1975 running of the 500. Well, Benny Parsons is right there where he was a year ago. Can he keep it going? There's still a lot of racing to go. 55 laps remaining in the grueling 500. Back in a moment. 72, driven by Benny Parsons, is in the lead right now, but let's document the story of what could happen now. In second place is car number 14, Cuckoo Marlin from Columbia, Tennessee. And in third place, there's your second place car. And in third place is car number 21, David Pearson. The interesting thing about it is that David came in on the 129th lap. He pitted. He got tires. He got fuel. He needs only one more pit stop. However, both Benny Parsons and Cuckoo Marlin need 2 more pit stops, according to our figures. So that means that as soon as they come in and have to do that, it would indicate that they would lose the lead to none other than the old Silver Fox himself, David Pearson.
Well, I think we're going to see quite a remarkable finish in this race, so just sit in your seats, because motor racing is something of a great surprise to everyone. This is a question of tactics right now, and there's no better pit in this business than the Wood brothers, who are famous the world over for the pit work. They've certainly done a job so far, but Benny Parsons, who's really matured as a driver, Bill, over these last 12 months since winning this big 500, this is a question of confidence in a lot of cases. Benny Parsons had been looking for a way to go for so many years in this tour, and of course this big win brought him to the eyes of the public. It made him a more confident driver. He's in there today leading the race that he won last year. This is an important thing. There's a relationship there between your first place man and your second place.
Okay, coming into the pits now, it looks like Cuckoo Marlin is coming into the pits. Cuckoo Marlin, car number 14, did a little extra.
Whoa!
He
spun in the pits.
Standing, he locked it up.
He spun in the pits and he's gone straight in. He's going to have to engage reverse gear. I don't know what could have happened there. He was having a lot of trouble there coming in. It looked like he had only rear wheel brakes there, but there's something else wrong.
So, David Pearson now has officially moved into second place in the standings behind Benny Parsons. And again, keep in mind, as we watch Cuckoo Marlin's car being shoved backwards here, keep in mind that is a pit stop that is going to come up very shortly for Benny Parsons. We want to make also a correction on the driver in car number 82. We have been informed by NASCAR that Skip Manning was driving the car in place of Farrell Harris today, a last-minute switch in drivers, and it is Manning who was involved in that 3-car accident. However, he only has chin lacerations and contusions. Well, Cuckoo Marlin is being shoved backwards there, and it looks like he's going to be out of it as Benny Parsons is running in first place, car number 72, as you can see him there on the race course, and car number 21, David Pearson behind him. Richard Petty now in car number 43 is still in contention. He was 1 lap down, but did unlap himself. And there is David Pearson, as we mentioned, in second place, but in good shape as far as pit stops are concerned. Jackie, I think we're going to recap that 3-car accident just once again.
Well, we have the car spinning inside, going low on the racetrack, and this is where we got out of sight. It's not sure at this time whether he was T-boned and at what part in the racetrack he was T-boned. But there's 83. That car wasn't so severely damaged. That was our pole sitter, the man who had grabbed pole position, Ramos Stott. He wasn't in such bad position, but the other 2 cars certainly came into heavy collision. We're back again, of course, to our leader, Benny Parsons, there high on the racetrack as he comes through there, the man who's leading the race.
All right, it's Benny Parsons, David Pearson, and Richard Petty. Richard Petty was able to move up quite a bit. He was a lap down, but when David Pearson pitted, he had moved up on him. And car number 54, that's driven by Lenny Pond, is a lap down in 4th place. And as I mentioned, Cuckoo Marlin had come in, did a side slide, and then he just did raise the 5th wall until he got turned around and back out on the race course once again. At 150 laps. With 50 laps to go, it's Benny Parsons in the lead, and then David Pearson. And right behind him, you can see King Richard himself, Richard Petty. David Pearson from Spartanburg, South Carolina, is now in second place, chasing Benny Parsons of Ellerbe, North Carolina. Incidentally, the money earnings are kind of interesting to know that David Pearson is second in the all-time money winnings, $1,400,000. One of the 4 millionaires in NASCAR racing. Richard Petty, who's out on the course and who has just come in a moment ago for tires and fuel. And now I think Benny Parsons is going to make his pit stop. So let's keep our eyes on him, but at the same time, keep our eyes on David Pearson out on the race course. Tell you what, Jackie, you watch Parsons and I'll look for Pearson.
Well, we've got there, he's coming to a stop there. Now, his crew, of course, are a first-class crew, but they can't be expected to be quite so good as the Wood brothers who look after David Pearson, or, for that matter, the Petty crew. They're, of course, top-class men, but to compete against these 2 other teams that I mentioned is something, because they they're the best in the world. You can see they're changing the outside rubber there, the tires on this side of the car. They're changing the other ones as well. There they're getting the car ready to go.
All right, and here goes David Pearson by the front grandstand down the straightaway. He has the lead. There goes Pearson by. So Pearson has the lead. And Parsons will hang on to second place, I believe, because Richard Petty was a lap down. We'll see how they wind up on the race course itself. David Pearson kicking himself around for spinning out last year with 2 laps to go. He has never won this race, the Daytona 500. That's a surprising thing, isn't it? He's won the Firecracker, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. He's been a Grand National Champion 3 times. But he's never won the prestigious Daytona 500, and today it'll be the richest stock car race in history. Approximately $350,000 in prize money, some $44,000 to the winner. And Jackie, I don't have to tell you, it's worth at least 5 or 6 times that much in terms of the overall benefit.
Well, I think so, because just take an example of the man you're looking at right now, Benny Parsons. He must have enjoyed an enormous amount of success over the last 12 months, and financially he must be a lot better off. So therefore he must be happy. It's very interesting to note in the case of Benny Parsons that this race last year he started in 32nd position on the starting grid and he won the race. And this year he started in the 32nd position again and he's been leading the race. Of course now he's in that position of opportunity to win again, which is, you know, more than just a stroke of luck, it would seem.
Well, if you're a believer in numerology, it certainly is kind of an interesting thing to contemplate. But right now, it is David Pearson in the lead. He had a pit stop on the 129th lap. If I had to project as to when a pit stop would come, it would be around 165 to 168, I would imagine, if they keep running at these speeds. In case you joined us a little bit late, Bobby Allison is out of the race with mechanical problems. A.J. Foyt is out of the race. Darrell Waltrip is out of the race. And David Hobbs is out of the race. As I mentioned to you earlier, Buddy Baker went out, was flagged off the course. Cale Yarborough didn't even hardly get started before his engine gave way. So we've had a lot of big names go out behind pit row today. Right now, it is David Pearson in the lead, being chased by number 72, Benny Parsons. From high above the Daytona International Speedway, from the Goodyear blimp, you see a graphic picture of these cars traveling at 180 miles an hour plus as they go down that long backstretch, Lake Lloyd there on the left. This coverage coming live to you from Daytona today. We've been delighted to be here. It's been really a great week of racing, and it's climaxed by this particular day. We will be coming up to 185 laps completed with 15 laps to go as soon as they come by this time. And look how close they are. Richard Petty zeroing in on David Pearson. I can't imagine what that last turn is going to look like.
Well, I don't know, but right now it's interesting that Richard doesn't seem to be making an attempt to pass David. He seems to be quite happy to sit in there and slipstream him and draft him all the way through without necessarily rushing back and forward. So he's just obviously holding his time because he could easily draft him at this point, just as they're coming out of turn 2 there, and get through the main straightaway, 3,000 feet in length. He could certainly get a draft from that car there and get through, but he's not doing it. He's just sitting there.
I'd also like to mention that there are 3 other big races coming up very, very soon here on the NASCAR circuit. The Richmond 400 from Richmond, Virginia. That'll be coming up on Sunday, February the 22nd. Then the always popular Carolina 500 at Rockingham, North Carolina on February the 29th. That's also on Sunday. Then moving ahead to the 14th of March, Sunday, the Southeastern 400 at Bristol, Tennessee. 14 laps to go. You know, Jackie, you were here a year ago along with Keith, and you saw that race happen. You saw what was going on with David Pearson and Cale Yarborough. It was 3 laps to go, and things happened that certainly could not have been foreseen.
Well, that's what we said earlier. You know, you never know with motor racing. You just never know the moment. A man like David Pearson, with all his experience last year, was in a situation where he was in this same position leading. We're going to have a look at last year to just see what happened to David Pearson a year ago. And there he is in the same car, number 21. This is last year's picture, just behind Cale Yarborough, coming off the banking in turn 2. He goes to pass Cale without a great deal of trouble, using all the road he wants to, and suddenly the car veers, look at that, right then left, then nearly hits Cale Yarborough, spins inside the racetrack, gets himself in the grass, 180-odd miles an hour, not an easy situation, could easily have overturned, and he came to a stop, and he lost the Daytona 500 because of that maneuver on that back stretch. So obviously he knows that this could happen again, so he's got to be very careful. Now we're back with this footage of 76.
Yes, and in the lead is Richard Petty, who has taken David Pearson on the backstretch. Richard Petty is in the lead by 3 or 4 car lengths over David Pearson. He just came off that third turn and into the fourth turn, and the car is smoking. We may have a yellow here. We may have a yellow if the engine has blown on car number, can't see that, whether it's 95? Is it 95, Jimmy Hurtubise?
No, it looks like
95.
Yep, Jimmy Hurtubise.
Still green on the race course. 188 laps. And Richard Petty has taken the lead from David Pearson. You were seeing the videotape of last year's 500, and of course to complete the thought of that, it enabled Benny Pearson to win last year's race. Benny had hopes of being only the second man to win more than one Daytona 500 today, but apparently those hopes have been dashed because of mechanical problems with the car. He can't run with the leaders right now, unless, of course, something should happen to those two.
Well, you never know. You know, stranger things have happened. Benny Parsons sitting in third position right now. He's a lap down, but obviously still third is a good situation. It's interesting, you know, it's a cat and mouse job between Petty and Pearson, because, you know, Petty could have passed earlier, but he didn't. Maybe David Pearson just lifted off that little bit to let Richard Petty through, because he wants to have a look behind to see where he can best take advantage of that car of Petty's. Now, drafting is very important, and these are two different cars. The Dodge that you're looking at now, the 43 car, maybe is a little bit cleaner than the Pearson car, the 76 Mercury that he's running.
Okay, they feel that new confirmation of Mercury and the Ford this year will be good on the shorter tracks, too, but it's doing very well right here, I'll tell you. Bill Fleming along with Jackie Stewart and Chris Economaki. 9 laps to go. Richard Petty in the lead. David Pearson right behind him. Those are the 2 cars right now that are on the same lap. The only 2 cars on the same lap in this race. Now, third place is Benny Parsons, but he is 1 lap down. Now, the thing that occurs to me, Jackie, you being a former world driving champion, have to know what's going on in those cars. It looks easy, you know, to go around the course for 191 laps. But the fatigue factor has to be tremendous.
Well, there is fatigue, not only in the motor car, but in the driver. And you have to remember, in this particular case, Richard Petty, the man that's leading this race right now, was in hospital. He had a peptic ulcer. He was in hospital for about between 6 and 12 days. And, of course, he just got out of that 2 weeks ago. Now, he can't be just as strong as he was, for example, last year at this time. And he said that earlier to Chris Economaki. So, therefore, a man who's not quite so fit, it's a long way. 500 miles is very tiring. A racing driver, I know in Grand Prix motor racing, we lost about 5 or 6 pounds in weight during the race, not only due to the heat inside the car, but the nervous energy you burn up. And, of course, a driver at that time begins to imagine things a little bit. You sit in that car, as these 2 drivers right now are doing, you feel a little strange vibrations, things that perhaps you just began to notice because you become a little tired, or you're looking for things. You're a worrier. You're a pessimist. And if you've got an ulcer, maybe you're a bigger worrier. So Richard Petty right now is maybe having a kitten in there.
That's the kind of thing that, Jackie, we really enjoy hearing from you, because nobody knows it better than the man who has been in the cockpit and knows exactly what goes on.
And also had an ulcer driving racing cars.
Did you carry a little bottle of milk in there?
Oh, no, we never did get around to that. But, you know, they sometimes do have a drink in these stock cars. In the summer season, when it gets very, very hot, they do take refreshments.
7 laps to go. Richard Petty in the lead, and of course followed by David Pearson. And just as a question now, sweating it out for these final 7 laps, 6.5 to be exact at this point. I don't know whether Chris Economaki has anything to report. If you do, Chris, if you come across anything down there involving either Richard or David, bring us up to date. Otherwise, we'll just watch them go around and see what happens as they come off the final turn on the last lap. I might mention to you that next weekend, ABC Sports will be bringing you the Glenn Campbell Los Angeles Open Golf Tournament live from the Riviera Country Club in Los Angeles. We begin our coverage on Saturday at 6 o'clock Eastern Time and on Sunday at 5:30 Eastern Time. Prize money, $185,000. First prize, $37,000. And players like Jack Nicholson, Johnny Miller, Lee Trevino, and, of course, the defending champion, red-haired Pat Fitzsimons. What a victory he had there a year ago. So be sure to join us for the Glenn Campbell Los Angeles Open next weekend over most of these ABC stations. Chris, do you have a word?
Okay, all of the hardened veterans of pit road, the callous ones that never watched the race, are out on the wall now, waiting to see what's going to happen between Richard Petty and David Pearson. A few years ago in July, a spectacular finish erupted between these two. Every person, to a man, has dropped what they're doing down here to watch the outcome of this 18th annual Daytona 500. The spectators and the Citizens have suddenly become spectators now. Back to you, Bill.
Okay, that's a very good observation, Chris, because most of the time they can't see much from down there, but what they're really seeing now are two of the great knights of NASCAR racing, jousting right down to the final. It really has boiled down to just that. Two cars, and there they are. They're on your screen with 5 laps to go.
And it's really only going to be in the last 3 laps, Phil, that they're going to choose where to position themselves, because they've been around this racetrack so many times, they've been rushing for the flag so many times, that they almost know which mark on the road to really stand on it and really get onto the right part of the racetrack. Remember, both of those drivers are going around this racetrack flat to the floor on the accelerator all of the time. They're never off it. So therefore, it's not a question of standing on it, it's a question of where you are on the racetrack, where to pick up the draft, and where to take it from there. And my goodness, when you've got two old foxes like they are, there's nothing much to choose from.
All right, as we look at them, we see Benny Parsons, the car number 72. He's the third-place car, and he is a lap down. Then let's got blue side of Lenny Pond, who is the fourth-place car, 2 laps down, and a young fellow by the name of Neil Bonnet, car number 12. He's just a rookie, comes from Hueytown, Alabama. He could very well wind up in 5th place, and pretty good money there for a rookie.
There's not many people walking away from the speedway right now. You know, when you get to the closing laps of a motor race, normally you see the people trying to get out just before the end, before the crowd start to get out. But I haven't seen one person move from the seat so far. They want to see the show.
And what a show we have seen here today. A lot of the favorites did go out. Bobby Allison went out. Cale Yarborough went out very early. A.J. Foyt went out of the race. Gerald Waltrip, one of the young Chargers, was out of the race after making a good run at the thing. But right now, there they are, 2 men. And they've completed 197 laps. Okay, when they come by here, they will be on the 199th lap. 198 completed. So the next time around, we will have the the white flag before the checkered. 1 lap to go.
And it's as if a motor race was just all over again. The adrenaline's pumping right inside those motor cars. The driver is as excited now as he was before they asked, gentlemen, start your engine. And right now, both of them are thinking the same thing. Now, what does he choose to do? Does Richard Petty choose to lead going down the back straight on that last important lap, or does he fall back and let David Pearson do it? Does he feel confident that that car, that Dodge, will take him all the way through turns 3 and 4 without being threatened by Pearson on the draft up to the dogleg finish? That's where confidence comes in, and we'll just have to wait and see.
Johnny Bruner Sr. Has always told the drivers, white flag is out, 1 lap to go, keep your eye on the rear vision mirror. He said it's extremely important. I don't believe that you have to tell Richard Petty to keep his eyes in the rear vision mirror.
I reckon he's throwing it out the window right now. I don't think he's even interested. But there they go, and they're coming.
Everybody is standing here at the Daytona International Speedway. Look at David Pearson. He has moved closer. Can he do it?
He's going to pull out now. He's going to try for the top.
I don't know. He's down on the inside. He's got the lead, but there's a car ahead of him. There is a slower car ahead of him. And Richard Petty and Pearson go high. Pearson now has the lead. Petty tries to go back down on the inside. As they come out of the 4th turn, they only have about 750 yards to go. Oh! It's a straightaway. They did hit. Petty smashes into the wall. Will he come across the start-finish line? He's going to win the race. He's going to win it spinning, as he, I believe, will take the checkered flag. No, he did not make it. He is less than 100 yards from it. Here comes Pearson. Pearson is going to try to make it across the finish line. Petty has his car going. Pearson's going to win it. Oh, bashing angle. He wins the race.
What a finish for a motor race. I've never seen anything like that.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable, because here is Richard Petty, not more than maybe 150 feet from it.
He's got it started up, and he's crossed the finishing line as well.
He did it. He beat Betty Parsons across, so he gets second place.
But he's been pushed. There may be an infringement of the regulations there. He's been pushed. So it'll be interesting to see what the officials have to say about this. But what a spectacular finish. We'll have to look at that finish again, because it really was a question of Richard Petty and David Pearson really moving in on each other there in the most spectacular manner in the last corner of the racetrack.
It looked actually like a demolition derby. It looked as if the car that kept it moving was going to win it, and that's exactly what happened. Well, Chris, I don't know whether you saw it or not, but if you didn't, you really missed it.
Rob, Richard's getting out of his car. The boys are unhooking him. He looks all right. Are you all right, Richard? What happened? Let's face the camera on the road, Richard.
They went around me, and he had to let off, and I drove on in under him. When I did, the front end broke loose and got him sideways.
Okay, Richard Petty walking away from his own words. We're going now to victory lane and try and talk with the winner. Petty is all right physically. He doesn't even seem mad, Bill.
No, but
matter of factly,
I don't think David Pearson can even see that hood is wrinkled up in front of him there. That's got to be the most mangled car, Chris, that you'll ever see in victory lane.
Well, we'll be there in a few minutes, Bill, and we'll have a chat done with David Pearson. Back to you.
All right, let's take a look at it again. As they came off that final turn, we had told you stay with us. Here it is.
Okay, Richard Petty in the car on the lower part there. He comes through at turn 4. It was a late, and look at the car sliding. The tire smoke's coming off, and it seems that he slid in there to David Pearson. He slides across him. Then he tries to correct, and it looks just at this moment as if he's got it corrected. David Pearson's car slams right in to the wall, very hard, as you can see. Then Richard Petty starts to go loose again. The tail end is out. He overcorrects the car, and it, too, goes straight into that wall there. An accident that could almost be described as a motorcycle, a tank-slapping accident. The car goes one way 1 minute and then another. He keeps the car spinning, hoping to get it across the finishing line. David Pearson runs into another car on pit lane as he comes across there. And you can see the car of Richard Petty, now in the centre of your picture, still coming to the infield. If he had slid for about another 100 feet, he would have managed to cross that finishing line. And there's the live picture of the smash car coming down, Bill.
All right, and Petty just leave, and I'll bet that he probably said, David, I'm sorry, doggone it. It was my fault. I was in front of you. But what a finish to that race. And, of course, the real excitement was when both cars were down on the infield. Pearson was about, I would say, 200 feet from the finish line, maybe Petty 100 feet. Petty couldn't get his car going. Pearson could get his going. He limped across, and he won the race. Chris, you're down there? Hello. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, well, I've never seen one like this. The first place, second place car so badly damaged. David is still in the car. He's getting out now, and we hope to be able to get a word with him. He moves his helmet. He's just like Petty, very unconcerned and very orderly. He's putting his goggles back up on the mirror, just as though it was a regular ride. Hey, David, you guys are really in show business. What a finish. What actually happened up there?
Well, Chris, I drafted by him going down the backstretch, and naturally, I guess if his car got to pushing or something, he just pushed right on up into me and naturally hit me and spun me around. And
what did he say to him? What did he say to you?
And stopped before he got across the finish line, and I cranked back up and kept going.
Well, I talked with Richard. He didn't sound mad at all or upset. He just explained it much like you did. There's no hard feelings here, is there?
No, because I really don't think he meant to do it. I really don't. Because, of course, he was trying to win a race just like I was. And, of course, my car was pushing, too. I was running so hard. And naturally, when I got in front of him, it hasn't pushed that much worse, so he just pushed right into me.
Okay, back to the normal victory lane interview, David. You're the first man to win a second Daytona 500 outside of Richard Petty, and our congratulations to you. Aside from the finish, can you think about what it means?
Well, it means a lot to me, Chris, because I've been trying so long to win this race, and I just could never be able to do it. And so I told him on the radio right before things started, I said, what am I going to do with this bull on my tail? Because I knew good and well he was going to stay there. But he made a mistake and passed me, and so that's what I wanted him to do.
You had a great drive. We know everybody's happy, and congratulations again. David Pearson, the winner of the 18th annual Daytona 500 in one of the most spectacular finishes any auto race has ever had.
Okay, now the reason that David was a little confused there, Chris, on what you said was, he did not win last year, although, it looked like he was going to win it. This is the first time that he has ever won this race. So it is an extremely important win to him. He's won everything else in sight, including 4 times for the Firecracker 400. Here it is again. This is what happened when Petty cut in front. Pearson went down, just did nick another car. Now, this is where it was critical. This is where Richard Petty is less than 100 feet from the finish line. He couldn't get it going.
That's right. His engine was stalled, and it may be that David Pearson's engine never did stall, because you can see David Pearson coming from the grass there and crossing that line, and there's the checkered flag for him. So it could be that while he was spinning, he kept his engine running, which is a good trick for a race driver. Now, you can see these crewmen pushing Richard Petty's car. Now, this is an infringement of the regulations. He was getting outside help, and he could do with a little outside help from there, but in fact, he's getting pushed across the finishing line. It'll be interesting to see what the final results will be on that.
Okay, and as you can see, nobody has left. Everybody is still standing, trying to soak up that last almost impossible moment in automobile racing. So David Pearson wins his first Daytona 500 with it $44,000. And in all, one of the most unusual and exciting finishes ever in the history of NASCAR Grand National Racing.